All right, talking about all this equity and big picture stuff. And our guy Dalvinism, Corey, wants to go big picture. New playoff format. What should expectations be for the program as a whole? Should any season where we don't make the 12-team playoff be viewed as a disappointment? Should the bar not be just making it, but winning a game or two? Or is that too lofty? 5-year period, what's the realistic bar for playoff appearances, wins, championships FSU should have? I like this, Corey. Okay. I like it so much. I think we should turn the cameras on and we should pause and pay homage to the hum of the powerful and valuable Cummins generator, y'all. That's right. Here we go. Generating discussion brought to you by our friends over at Cummins. Follow them on Instagram, everybody. It's free. Just go to Instagram, follow Cummins Lifestyle. Noles behind the helm of all this, helping things run smoothly. So give them a little follow, give them a little shout out. It's free. Again, Cummins Lifestyle on Instagram, Corey. Our guy, Dalvinism, popping the question here right now, Corey. And it's a good one. And I just wonder how much of the human element is going to come into play. Because I get it, man. Grew up on the dynasty. So you're always in the top 4. Top 12 surely is a reasonable bar to clear. And I would say if they don't make it, it's a disappointment. If you're not one of the 12 best teams, it's a disappointment. But Corey, what if you're 10-2 and you didn't make it in over 10-2 Missouri and Ole Miss? You know, or do you think that you're probably not going to win it all if you're 10-2? I wonder how we should look at this, but I think just kind of gut reaction, quick flinch, I would say it is a disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, I think where the program is now, it would be viewed as a disappointment. But, you know, there are degrees of it, right? If you're the 13th team or you're the 40th team, like if you're not even in contention, if you're not even in the conversation, that is an utter disappointment. That is a big-time disappointment. If, like Aslan said, you're 10-2 and you get left out so the SEC can get their 8th team in, then that's a disappointment. But you take that you take that for what it is, and you realize that you still have a very good program that's in playoff contention. I think with the 12-team playoff, can't you start looking at it almost like NFL teams look at it at their seasons? Like if you're not even in contention for the playoffs by that final week of the season or 2 weeks of the season, you've had a bad year. And I think Florida State and I think Alabama fans would say the same thing. I think Florida fans, Ohio State, USC. If you're playing out the string in November, knowing that you're not even in the conversation, then that's a bad season. If you're playing a game that matters in late November, no matter how it goes, you're giving yourself a chance. And I feel like that's a decent way to look at it. But I don't know, man. I haven't lived through it before. Most of my life, we didn't have a playoff period. Now we had a 0-team playoff. Now we have 12 teams. So it's going to be really interesting to see how all of college football fandom reacts to, there's going to be 20 to 25 teams starting November that feel like they have a realistic chance to work themselves into the playoffs. In the NFL, though, going back to probably my bad comparison, you can do the math and realize, okay, we're 5-9. We'd have to win out. These 6 teams would have to lose. We're done. But in college football, so there's probably 18 to 20 teams thinking they have a chance to make 14 in the NFL now?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe. So but it's math. Like it's not subjective. It's objective. You have to win these games. You have to finish with this record. Here are the tiebreaker scenarios. It's all laid out for you. It's not some committee in a Ritz-Carlton on a Saturday night deciding your fate. So that's where the difference still is, where there's no real set formula. But again, if you're in consideration, if they do that stupid final college football playoff reveal the Tuesday before the championship games and you're 15th, well, you've given yourself a chance. And yes, as a Florida State fan, it should be a disappointment to not make the playoff in this current incarnation where you still have Mike Norvell as your coach. You're coming off 13-0. You're coming off a 19-game winning streak, and you have a lot of talent this year. I think it would definitely be a disappointment this year if you don't just get beset by a wave of injuries.
Yeah, and what if, you can be disappointed, but I don't know if we can call it a disappointment, because what if you beat Miami and Florida? but you lost to Clemson and you lost some fluke game to, I don't know, BC.
What if you keep Florida out of the playoff? What if you knock them out with that game, the last game in November?
Exactly. So, like, when it comes to baseball, Corey, like I probably set the bar too high. I just think Florida State should go to Omaha at least once every 3 years. So in this exercise, he says 5 years. Do we want to say the Florida?
Wouldn't you say that, though, is more like for Florida State football saying they should be in the semifinals once every 3 years?
That's what I was kind of try to see what you thought about that. Like in a should we look at it more through, like he said, like a 5-year window and whether or not Florida State should have a title or like a certain amount of playoff wins in that sort of window?
The playoff wins, the titles, I'm all, and maybe it's because I'm a Braves fan, but I'm always about just giving yourself a chance. If you're in contention, if you're in the dance 4 out of 5 times, you will get lucky. You will get on a run. You will get somewhere. I remember Leonard Hamilton. They went to the NCAA tournament finally after a 10-year drought, and then lost the first game the first 2 years, and then I think maybe the next game they won 1. No, they won 2. But then you start figuring out how to win in the tournament, and I feel like that's what could happen here. Is just if you keep, like, Florida State basketball gave themselves enough opportunities getting into the tournament, then eventually they won a couple of games, and you make a Sweet 16 run, you make an Elite 8 run. That's what the goal is here. Be there, be in the conversation, get to the dance. You want to be a top 4 seed, but if that doesn't happen, get to the dance and give yourself a chance to go win 3 or 4 games and win a national championship. But the number one goal is instead of just worrying about the end result, I think the number one in whether you won a championship or not, or got to the Final Four, if you keep giving yourself a chance, eventually you will get there, in my opinion. It has not happened for Florida State baseball, the final goal, but they do get to Omaha, once every 3 years if you go on their track record. So if Florida State football can get themselves into the tournament, get themselves into the contention, I don't know if there's is there a number? 3 out of 5 years, 2 out of 5 years, 5 out of 5? I don't know. But I know if you keep going every year, eventually you're going to make a run.
My bulb just blew out, so we should wrap it up. But I was going to say real quick on the way out here, Corey, 5-year window. If I told you 5 years, you either get option A, you make the playoff every single year, you get 5 playoff appearances in 5 years, or would you take 5 playoff wins over 5 years? I'm taking 5 playoff berths.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, you wouldn't want. What if you get 4 in 1 year, and then the next 4 years you do jack squat?
Exactly.
Again,
I think 3. I think 4 you'd probably win it all.
Man, so if you get to the playoff 5 years in a row,
yeah,
you are one of the elite programs in the United States, and you are to be dealt with accordingly, and you are to be cheered on accordingly. You are one of the very best programs in the United States. I'm not saying anybody can go on a run, but they can. And I would also say this. If we look at the numbers in 2029, any of the teams that have 5 playoff wins over that stretch, they're going to be an elite program too. So they're both pretty good gauges of how good the program is. But getting there 5 years in a row would be a really wonderful accomplishment.
That's generating discussion, sparked by our great friends over at Cummins. Follow them on Instagram. It's totally free. Cummins Lifestyle, all one word.
Whether the power is out or you're out of pocket, be the hero with portable power from Cummins, a global power leader. Own power stations, perfect for mobile lifestyles, small and compact. Cummins own power stations provide temporary, off-the-grid power. Use it to charge your mobile devices, power your TV for the tailgate, run a fan to cool the party, or light up the after-dark celebration. Cummins offers power stations from 100 to 1,000 watts. These can be very handy during those temporary thunderstorm power outages we often get in the southeast in the afternoons. Use the promo code TAILGATE, TAILG, numeral 8, for a 10% discount at shop.cummins.com.